Rock Around the Clock, Bill Haley and his Comets, the first rocker I saw live. We'll always have Edmonton. The thrills and spills kept coming fast in that spring of 1957. By now, I had spent nearly a year sculpting my hair into a quiff and discovering all the amazing new American rock and roll stars who were changing the world around me. Now, I was finally going to get a chance to see one in the flesh, live. I first heard Bill Haley and his Comets Rock Around the Clock on AFN in 1954. It was re-released in 1955 and became the first rock and roll record to top the charts in both America and Britain, but at the time, I didn't find it remotely as seismic or life-changing as I did Elvis a year later. I just thought it was fun. I had just turned 14 when it first came out, so I was a bit young fully to embrace rock and roll, but I can remember loving the song and throwing myself about to it whenever I heard it. That's one important element of early rock and roll that shouldn't be overlooked. It always made you want to get up and dance. I still remember one end-of-term school dance in the big hall where they played Rock Around the Clock so many times and everyone was up and jiving. My sister Donna and I jived to it at home. I'd be jumping about, waggling my hips, spinning Donna around, sliding her through my legs. As I say, such fun. So I loved jumping around to Rock Around the Clock when it first came out, but it never remotely rearranged my mind or my whole life in the way that Elvis was to do. Even so, when I heard that Bill Haley and his Comets were to play just a few miles down the road from me in 1957, I just had to see them. Until that point, American rock and rollers had seemed mystical, even mythical figures to me. An alluring combination of amazing music over a crystal radio and occasional photographs in newspapers and magazines. Now, I had the chance to see one in real life, in the flesh, in Edmonton. Bill Haley and his Comets were to play the Regal Theatre in Edmonton in North London, just 5 miles from Cheshunt, on Sunday the 3rd, March 1957. As soon as we heard this jaw-dropping news, my friends and I began grouping in huddles in the school playground to hatch a plan. There was no way we were going to miss it. The tickets were going on sale a few weeks before the show. Norman Mitham, Terry Smart, and I, with 2 or 3 other mates, decided to take no chances. That crucial Monday morning, we set our alarms for 4 a.m. and met up to get the bus to Edmonton, to be at the venue before the ticket office opened. When we got to the Regal before 6 a.m., we discovered we weren't the only people with that idea. The queue of eager rock and roll fans already stretched from the front door of the venue, down the street, and around the corner. It took 3 hours to inch our way to the front. All that were left were seats in the balcony. We were all wearing our Cheshunt Secondary Modern uniforms because we had planned to go straight into school, but by the time we'd got the tickets, we'd missed assembly and figured it was too late. One of the lads had keys to his house, and his parents were at work, so we went there, hung out all day playing records. The perfect plan, huh? Well, not quite. We got rumbled. To this day, I have no idea who it was, but somebody or other saw us queuing outside the Regal in our blazing ties and snitched on us to the headmaster. When we got to school the next morning, we got called into the office for a dressing down. Well, it was worth it to see my first ever rock and roll show. I was counting down the days until 3rd of March. When it finally came around, I donned my drainpipe trousers, because those were days well before jeans, and we were all in the Regal 2 hours before Bill Haley was due on stage. I could not have been more excited. The atmosphere was electric. If I could have got my hand into the pockets of my skin-tight trousers, I think I would have been pinching myself. Wow, I am about to see a proper American rock and roller. They actually exist. Is this really happening? What a night. I'll never forget it. I had heard quite a few great songs and artists by now, but Bill Haley and his Comets in Edmonton brought rock and roll right into my own life, brought it alive for me. I left buzzing with excitement, with my ears ringing and my mind even more made up than it already was. Yep, this is exactly what I want to do with my life. There was one more repercussion at school from my uncharacteristic, accidental, one-day truancy to buy my concert ticket. My English teacher, Jay Norris, was an inspirational figure and someone I respected a lot. It had been Miss Norris who gave my friends and me the classroom to rehearse the quintones after school. Despite this, Miss Norris was horrified at me taking a day off to buy a ticket and losing my prefect's badge. She was a cultured woman, but it was classic generation gap stuff. She just didn't get rock and roll. "What a stupid thing to do, Harry," she chided me. "In 10 years, you won't even remember Bill Haley." Well, she was wrong on that one. Jay Norris and I kept in touch after I left school. And on the 3rd of March, 1967, 10 years to the day after the Edmonton gig, I drove from London to Cheshunt with a box of chocolates for her. I knocked on her door. When she opened it, I handed her the chocolates and said, "Bill Haley!" Bill Haley had a handful more mid-50s classic rock and roll hits such as Shake, Rattle and Roll, See You Later, Alligator. I remember buying one of his early 10-inch albums and loving songs like Dim Dim the Lights. I'd like to play those songs live again today in contemporary style. I think they deserve it. For me, this song will forever summon up that magical night in Edmonton and my first rock and roll gig. It will always remind me of jiving with Donna in our humble council house, and it will forever conjure up innocence that I fear we have largely lost nowadays, both from music and from life. And you know what? I miss it.